I'd like to drag them, yeah.
Okay.
I think they've had it too good for too long.
Do you want me to start? Or do you want to start?
I mean, I guess I could start. Just be like, hey, here's this thing I watched and it was good. And here's a segment from Chris.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you know what I just watched?
Yeah, what'd you watch?
I watched Peter Jackson's Get Back.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was supposed to be a movie. It's not. It's 9 hours long, and there's 3 parts.
Wow, 9 hours.
Yeah, each part's like 2.5 to 3 hours long.
I feel like I should have participated in that, the over Thanksgiving binge watching that the world seems to have done.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like you to watch it soon. I'd like to talk about it. I'd also like to rewatch it because there's some parts where it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
That, yeah, there are definitely times where I was just off doing something else in the background and shit was happening that I wasn't privy to. I thought it was pretty good, though.
Okay.
We talked about it a little bit before. It's just a nice little slice of life of just the Beatles, and it really tears down the whole image of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Where instead of them being the Beatles, they're just 4 dudes in a band.
Yeah.
Who are, granted, very rich and kind of a little bit full of themselves.
Yeah.
And butt heads and stuff like that. But it's a good time. I enjoy it. It's fun to hear different versions of those songs. It does get old after a while. I'm like, okay, I don't need to hear Old Brown Shoe again, George Harrison.
Yeah.
But you do. You hear it a lot. But it's a good time. I think it's fun. It's well worth the time and effort.
Yeah.
But it brings us to a new segment called
bottom 5 to 10 Beatles song of all time.
They've had it too good for too long.
Misses, in my opinion.
Number 10.
Little Child.
Sucks. Not good.
Yeah. I don't know how old they were when they wrote I Saw Her Standing There. But there's that line, the infamous line, she was just 17, and you know what I mean.
I think they were 19, luckily. They probably wrote it when they were 17, but it came out when they were probably like 19.
Yeah, so anyways, that was, like, I brought it up to my dad, and that was one thing he said. He's like, oh, come on, they were probably like 19 when they wrote that. And I was like, yeah, that's fair.
But if you know what I mean, what do you mean?
Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah, that's where the record scratch happens. Little Child falls into a similar category, except, I don't know, even age aside, I don't think ever referred to a potential romantic interest as Little Child.
Yeah, not memorable. It's like a lot of songs that are probably going to be on our list here, on our song list. On our
do you want to go song for song?
What do you mean?
You want to give your 10 real quick?
Oh, I
your
thought
number 10?
I thought we were just mixing.
Oh, let's mix and
I
match.
don't want to do 20, but yeah, I think we pretty much agreed on a lot of them.
Well, we might have more than 10. But okay, then go 9.
Old Brown Shoe. What are you on about, George Harrison? The song's not great. Paul and John are out here writing Dig a Pony and Get Back, and you're like, I got a song about shoes. I mean, the song's not about shoes. It's about being in love with a woman, but also, I don't like it.
All right, number 8. That Kansas City song.
Yeah. I don't even know how that one goes.
It's just Paul going like, oh, Kansas City, baby, I gotta get my baby back home. It's from Beatles for Sale.
A lot of Beatles for Sale. Beatles for Sale. Most of it could be on this list, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So there are a couple early cuts that I like a lot, but I will say I was just talking to a friend, and he was basically saying, like, sue me if you'd like, but if it's before Rubber Soul, I don't really care.
I'd sue him, yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are just good bops. I like them. They don't got a whole lot of substance to them, but a lot of them pretty good.
The early cuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little spotty. It can be spotty.
It definitely can.
Anyways.
I think it's just as spotty as some of their old stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
For instance, again, Sue Me. I know a lot of people like this song, but number 8, Obla Di, Obla Da. Life Goes On, yeah, without me having to hear the song ever again. I hate it.
Wait, that'd be number 7, I think.
Fine, number 7, Obla Di, Obla Da.
Yeah, I don't like that song. I do not like that song at all. Never have, don't care for it. Don't care at all. That's a garbage song, in my opinion. Worthless.
Number 6.
Number 6, I'm going to say No Reply.
Okay.
I don't like No Reply. It's like Run for Your Life, but without seeming as though it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek. But also, number 5, apparently John Lennon also hates Run for Your Life.
Yeah.
So this is the only Beatles song he's ever regretted. He said in an interview in 1973, according to Wikipedia. Says the only Beatles song he's ever regretted.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd get that. Yeah.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, because Catch You with Another Man, that's the end.
Yeah. It's about killing a woman after getting cucked. I get it.
Yeah. You can have a 5 too, since I stole 2 in a row. What's
Yeah.
your 5?
Oh God. I also get a 5 spot.
So yeah, and then we'll go to 4. So this is 5B.
5B. Roll Over Beethoven.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the Beatles covers usually.
Not a fan of the Beatles covering, no.
Yeah. Just much like one of the movies we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Beatles songs that are like, this isn't necessarily bad. It's just boring. It just sounds like a song from the 60s from any other band.
Yeah. I will also say my number 4 now, Come Together.
Hate it.
I like some of the lyrics or whatever, but as a whole, don't like the style too much.
Hey, you know what I hate even more than Come Together?
What?
Aerosmith's Come Together.
Never heard that, and I don't
Really?
want to.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was big for them.
Yeah. Well, here's an honorary number 4. Alien Ant Farms beat it or whatever the fuck they did. What did they do?
Annie, Are You Okay?
Yeah.
Smooth Criminal,
Smooth Criminal, yeah.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, it rips. It's a bop. It
Not a
reminds
fan.
me of, like, I listened to it when I listened to Bloodhound Gang.
Okay. So anyways, number 3, I don't like
Somebody
While My
stop.
Guitar Gently Weeps. It just sounds a bit like 70s rock band, like Led Zeppelin, kind of
Yep,
like, While
absolutely.
My Guitar, you know.
Um,
Something almost falls into the same trappings, but what saves it, in my opinion, is when it goes into the, You're asking me, will our love grow?
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know. That is good. That is so good that it carries the rest of the song.
something that saves something for me, because I
Yeah.
don't love it. But I was listening to it once, and this girl who was a friend of mine was like, oh. She started tearing up a little bit. I was like, what? She's like, my dad used to sing this song to me when I was a kid to put me to sleep. Never knew what it was until right now. I'm like, oh, that's
Aw.
very sweet.
Yeah.
Um,
So your number 3. What's number 3?
number 3, Dizzy Miss Lizzy.
Really? I don't mind that one.
The thing is, on at least the album version on my phone,
Yeah.
it comes right after my favorite Beatles song.
Uh-huh.
And because it's not one of my favorite Beatles songs, it goes
Is
like
it I've Just Seen a Face?
No, we'll get to it in a second.
Oh.
We're going to end this with our favorite Beatles songs.
Oh, okay.
Are we on number 1 now?
Yeah, because I did number 2 was While My Guitar Gently
Yep.
Weeps.
What's the worst Beatles song, Chris?
Well, let's both get a slot in this.
Okay.
I'm going to say, in my opinion, Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah?
Don't care for it.
I'm going to say
Also, these were not weighted.
no.
This is just off the top of the dome as we think of these songs.
I got mine. It's going to be a hot take.
Okay.
So try to make yours a hot take.
It was Here Comes the Sun. I think that's hot.
Oh, fuck, that was pretty hot.
Yeah.
My least favorite Beatles song?
Yeah.
Across the Universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't like that one.
Okay.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That is nothing. The way this is going to be quick. Just Chris, give me your top 3 to 5 Beatles songs.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Top 3 to 5. I think Rocky Raccoon. No. Martha, My Dear. Golden Slumbers might be in there. Don't Let Me Down. I'm going to do 2 more because I can't hold off. 2 of Us for sure. God. Baby, You're a Rich Man. How do you feel about my 5?
Not bad.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say probably it's a tie between 2 incredibly different songs for my number 5 spot.
Okay.
Blue Jay Way and Your Mother Should Know. Love
Okay.
them. And then probably like The Ballad of John and Yoko.
Okay.
That one rips. For No One off of Revolver.
Uh-huh.
That one rips. Fuck, how many more do I have? I'm going to say Till There Was You off With the Beatles.
Okay.
And undeniably, the best Beatles song,
Hey Jude.
Yesterday.
Oh, okay. You think better than Hey Jude?
I think Yesterday is miles better than Hey Jude. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think subjectively, regardless of those being my 5 favorite, I still think Hey Jude is like just one of the best songs ever written. There's just something about it. It's just so crazy.
It's a Smells Like Teen Spirit to me.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
So anyways, Spider-Man 3.
Are we starting with Spider-Man 3?
Or would you rather start with The Witch?
Which one do you think we're going to talk about longer?
I wish it were The Witch, but I feel like it's going to be Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, so we should probably start with The Witch.
Okay. So The Witch. You had it on your list.
The mail's here. Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna
Hey, Chris, it's mail time.
Okay. I can't believe I caught that. A little bit of ASMR. I've just got a letter. I wonder what's from. It's kind of hard to get this one open. Someone really liked this one.
I don't know what sounded worse, you doing that or me blasting the Blue's Clues song into the microphone from my phone. I know it's this for sure.
Anyways. Knock knock, who's there? The witch. The witch who? The witch who grinded your baby up into a goo and then rubbed it all over her naked body in order to gain the gift of flight. It's a pretty metal scene.
Yeah, this movie's very metal.
This movie is very
right
metal.
off the bat.
4 years before we all loved waxing poetically about The Lighthouse, Robert Egg and A24 released The Witch. And everyone the world over proclaimed, hey, not bad. Suspenseful, heartbreaking, and old English as hell. The Witch absolutely rips. Robert Egg is a little freak, and I love it. At one point in this film, I got excited to see a father murder his infant daughter and son. That's not great. And that's what makes this movie even more great. Did you know this movie had a budget of only $4 million and the box office of about 40 million? Because in my brain I was thinking that's 10 times more. Did you know the woman who plays the witch is named Bathsheba? Just like
The Conjuring.
The Conjuring, yeah. Pretty neat. P-R-I-C neat? Huh?
Pretty neat.
Ah.
Take
I
that
get
one
it now.
again.
Pretty neat. 7.5 out of 10. Okay, so a little while ago we were watching a movie and the trailer for The Witch came on.
Yes.
And you went, oh, wow, geez, wow. That kind of a thing.
Wowie zowie.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way that made me think that you had a kind of a different preconceived notion about The Witch.
Yeah.
Well, what took you? Like, what was the kind of thing where you're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was?
I remember, the only exposure I've had to The Witch is hearing some people go, hey, that was pretty good. And seeing, the box at Best Buy or the poster on Netflix.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, whatever. It's just a horror movie called Vvitch. And then I watched The Lighthouse and then found out Vvitch was by the same guy.
Mr. Eggs.
And I was like, oh, I'd like to see that. That'd probably be not bad. And then that trailer played. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got to see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
I watched it over the quarantine. Excuse me. No disrespect, but I've had two separate experiences with my friends viewing movies that I think are very special to me, and I very much so treasure. but were not optimal,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Both situations. One was I watched a movie called Eraserhead with my buddy Jake, and we did so in his little loft apartment, and it was very cozy and nice. But it suffered from the same problem that my Witch viewing did. The Witch, same thing. It's late at night, hanging out with my buddy Will and my buddy Christian, and we watched The Witch. And both of these guys, no disrespect, there's nothing wrong with this, but they just have very quiet little TVs. And yeah, so the best way to describe my first experience with The Witch would be visually, I guess. To imagine three people in the middle of their 20s, like, leaned forward, looking at a little TV across the room, trying to watch it quiet because they have downstairs neighbors.
Yeah.
Very quiet. Like, I know we watched this with subtitles because you were worried a little bit about the Old English. We watched it because it was a necessity with the subtitles.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I saw it, and yeah, long story short, I was just kind of immediately like, ooh, this is pretty metal.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of like, don't quote me, but I think 1983 when Metallica was just like, yeah, hey, our first album is called Kill 'Em All, and it's got a hammer and a bunch of blood on the cover, so how about that?
Hell yeah. Hell, I'd say it's even more like, it's less that and more so Ozzy Osbourne and the other guy being like, hey, let's make some shit that scares people.
Yeah.
That's how metal it is to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was your first time watching it, so you go first.
I really liked it. I liked it probably more than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
The Old English was really, really daunting.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be into this because you know me, I can't even do like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. 'Cause
Yeah.
like, there's just something about this that isn't getting me into it.
Yeah.
There's just something I can't relate to with these people. But I feel like this movie does a really good job of. It's not so much that I relate to these people at all. I just know exactly where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's almost like this movie makes me very empathetic.
Yeah, I know.
For these people.
Yeah, I know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah. Specifically, real quick, the religious stuff.
Yeah.
Kept thinking the whole time, like, yeah. Even the mother says it at one point. She's like, I want to be home, like, in England. And
God damn it.
What?
I just remember there was a whole bit I forgot to type out in that letter that was very funny. Oh, hey, I forgot we got an additional letter that was supposed to be an amendment to the other letter about the witch.
Amendment.
An amendment. I guess they forgot some stuff.
Okay. Starring Super Mario's Anya Taylor-Joy and some other people, The Witch is a whodunit tale about a missing baby, God, farmers, goats, mistrust, and a boy who wants to see his sister's titty.
It's fucked up.
That is fucked up.
Oh, wait, what were we saying?
Oh, yeah. She was like, I want to be back in England. And I was like, yeah, I'd be kind of clinging to this religion bullshit quite a bit if I was in America in the 1600s. That sucks.
Yeah, there's a
really
point
sucks.
where they're eating dinner in their dark-ass house
Yeah.
in candlelight. And I'm like, I'd rather be dead, honestly.
Yeah, okay. For just a quick second, perhaps I am of the weakest generation. Maybe there's something wrong with us. Maybe it's the phone in my pocket making my dick not have as much testosterone as my granddad had. But imagine right now they said, hey, there's this brand new continent. It's got nothing. Do you want to go there? Do you want to be one of the firsts? Or maybe you don't even have to. Maybe you could just imagine you actually have the chance to go to Mars and be the first fucker on Mars. Do you take it? Because I tell you what, I don't.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
But thinking about it, probably back then,
Yeah.
the difference is, hey, over here, your house can be made of wood, whereas here, your house is made of stone.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's probably the only difference, really.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like I understand that context is different and times are different, but I'm just
It's insane.
yeah. Like, is the English countryside gonna be that much different than the American countryside? I understand that the draw is probably like, hey, out here, there's no government, there's no police, there's no lawmen, there's no landlords. Like, you just go there and you wherever you think this is a good place for a farm, It's a good place for a farm. And that's wonderful that some people want that. And of course, there are degrees to which I want something similar. Like, I'd like to be my own boss. But also, I want to be very close to reliable food, probably some sort of legal system. I don't necessarily mean like a large governing body, but,
Yeah.
you know, even if we lived in sort of an anarchy situation, you know, there's still a way which this block handles its business.
Yeah.
You know. So anyways, all I'm saying is there are a lot of modern comforts, even at that time, that I feel like they left that I wouldn't risk leaving,
You need
personally.
structure.
It's some structure, yeah. You know? Some structure for sure.
Also,
Mainly the reliable food thing. Somewhat reliable food.
I think, if I'm right, England around that time,
Yeah.
0 witches.
Yeah, okay.
Just not a single one.
Yeah. I wonder what was going on with America. You know, who is that witch?
Where'd she come from?
Where'd she come from? She's not Native American. She's not native to the land.
No, not at all.
You know? So
She was white as
she's
hell.
out in that woods.
She's
You know?
Scandinavian?
Why that woods?
No, just where she shut up shop. She heard of this great new place called America.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? I'd like to be an adopter there.
Anyways, let's barrel forward. What you were talking about was that you
She's like, man, I keep
Couldn't
getting
relate.
text without representation.
you couldn't relate, but you could be empathetical.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, like this movie started and everyone's like, ye, thee, I, and I'm like, ugh. I'm not going to get into this at all.
Yeah.
But there's that point where they're all arguing and he's like, I took the cup. I sold it for the traps. And she's like, oh, you can't do anything besides chop wood. No, she says that to her dad later.
Yeah.
But she's like, I hate it here. I want to go to England. And you
Yeah.
suck. And they're just screaming and everything. And I'm like, oof. This is tense. I
Yeah.
really like. It gets to a point where I care about everybody in the family.
Yeah.
Pretty cool that it takes place in basically one spot.
Yeah.
And just these families squabbles and them relating how they relate it to their religion and just the insane shit that happens to them.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I will say there's a aspect of it where it feels a bit like something you'd be forced to watch in history class, but it's just so neat to me that Robert Egg has such a fetish for that.
Yeah.
Because he does basically the same thing with the lighthouse and how he makes everybody talk in that, especially Mr. Defoe.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Defoe gets the witch treatment for sure.
You know what he nails with it though?
Or did he insist on it? He was like, no. What does he nail?
He nails, like what you said, it feels like something I should be watching in history class.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy. And then immediately, within 5 minutes, a baby gets churned into mush and a naked old lady rubs it all over her body and then starts
her
flying.
naked body, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
You got me.
Anything else you'd like to mention there about The Witch with your initial rundown?
I was telling you after we watched it, I was like looking it up before we watched it, just to read about it a little bit here and there and like try to find somewhere to stream it from. And when you Google The Witch, one of the first audio responses is like ending explained. What happens at the end of The Witch and stuff like that. Biggest surprise of this movie at the end? Extremely straightforward.
Yeah. She becomes a witch and goes and dances with the witches in the
Her whole family dies.
forest, yeah.
And she's like, nah, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
And the devil goes,
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
and she's like, hell yeah, man. She gets naked and goes in the wood and starts flying with a bunch of other witches
Yeah.
and becomes a witch. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I like I say, that it comes off as this is something this history class exhibition kind of a thing, something to be shown by Mr. Blackmore on movie day. But yeah, it's immediately compelling, tense, relatable, but not in the sense that like, oh, I've been there. Just like I can absolutely relate to how they must be feeling, i.e., empathy. And yeah, immediately metal, which leads to the tension. Like, I mean, it actually feels like not only is bad shit happening, but way worse shit could happen. You know what I mean? There's definitely a menacing aura about like, oh yeah, well, in the first 10 minutes they mushed up a baby. I've never seen that done before. So you know what I mean? Like things can get bad.
And they don't Really?
Kind of.
What?
Not as bad as a baby getting mushed up.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But you do get the dad getting rammed to death, and the mom, even though it's a vision, in a moment
yeah.
that seems almost out of the lighthouse itself, her breast gets pecked by a raven.
It's not. She wakes up and her boobie is all
Yeah.
bleeding, so it's not a vision. I think that shit happened. to her.
Happened. Okay. Also, again, not necessarily as bad as the baby getting mushed up, but fuck me if I wouldn't be pretty pissed if my dad locked me and my siblings in the fucking the ram den overnight.
Oh, I'd be absolutely furious.
Yeah. Just hate those little kids. I don't like what are their names?
Jezebel
Yeah.
and
Rocky.
Rocky.
They're good in terms of they remind me a lot of the first half of Babadook, which you still have not seen Babadook, but
I have.
you have?
It's been a really long time though, and I don't remember a lot of it. I'd like to watch it soon.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I don't like these kids. Similarly, I don't like that little boy in the beginning, but the little boy at the end, I like him. But yeah, that aside, yeah, I feel so bad for that little girl. Her mom is treating her like a piece of dog shit. And those little kids, those little brats, they're being brats. They're making it way worse for her.
Yeah.
And her dad gets the business from her at one point, duly.
Oh yeah,
You
because
know?
he's like, I know you're a witch. You
Yeah.
just gotta tell the truth. She's like,
And she's like, you've done all this shit. Let me take the fucking blame for it. You're a fucking dickhead.
you know, you're calling me a witch.
Yeah.
And then I love when she's like most of this movie
Is him cutting wood.
is him cutting wood, but pretty early on in the movie, as shit happens, it gets resolved almost immediately. Like the dad's in the woods with the son. He's like, I got these traps. Don't say anything, but I sold your mom's favorite cup. It was made of silver. That's how I afforded it. Whatever. And like a scene and a half later, no, literally the next scene, they're at dinner. The mom's like, Anya Taylor-Joy? Thompson, that's her name? Thompson? Where's my cup? She's like, I don't fucking know. And she's like, you're always touching it. She's like, I haven't fucking seen it since we left. No, I
Yeah.
don't know where your cup is. She's like, what have you done with my cup? And she's like, I don't know where your fucking cup is.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, the dad's like, I sold the cup. Like, things get resolved like that.
Yeah.
Like, right at the beginning of the movie, the kids are just running around being like, Black Phillip, Black Phillip. And they're talking to the black goat. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the movie, when he's yelling at her, because he's like, you're a witch. She's like, I'm a witch. These kids are witches.
Yeah.
This goat talks to them.
Yeah.
And the Bible says, devil a goat,
Yeah.
devil a goat.
Yeah.
These kids are talking to this goat.
Yeah.
These kids devils. And then it's like, oh, cool. I'll go kill these kids then.
Yeah, and in a sense, you know, it also kind of feels a bit like The Lighthouse or The Shining, except this is probably the most second, perhaps, to The Shining, where like the mythical thing that symbolizes their insanity seems to actually be legitimately a real thing here. But it has a similar kind of like, wow, the sense of isolation I get from this thing. It's not at the forefront. It's not the most, like, this is not the shining strength of this film. But again, to reiterate about the whole, like, missing England thing, I mean, they're a 2 days ride from the town that they just left.
Yeah.
A 2 days ride.
Yeah.
And
like,
then there's the point, again, like, so there are a lot of things that, like, you might remember I mentioned, like, it feels almost like a prequel to, like, The Blair Witch or something. As if this could be the woods that the Blair Witch takes place in. Like, this is the folklore story that they've heard. Because it's actually, in the title sequence, like, a New England folktale or something like that. Yeah. So that's how I try to view it. I mean, there's nothing in this that indicates it other than it being set in a similar location, i.e. New England, and dealing with a witch in the woods. But yes, again, the sense of isolation really gets me. I mean, there's genuine danger there. As I alluded to with my rant in the beginning, like, you're so far from convenience, safety, civilization. There's safety in numbers. I mean, it's just you, your wife, and fucking 3 kids and a couple of goats, and then they lose their horse.
Yeah.
So what does a 2-day ride on a horse turn into? On foot?
It's a good week, probably.
Yeah, that's fucked. I mean, there's that point where they're discussing, like, we're going to take our boy into town. We don't have a horse, and we'll just leave the babies here with Thomason and hope that they're fine when we get back with maybe our kid not dead. And all that stuff's very scary.
Oh, yeah. It's just like what you were saying with Blair Witch. Worst case scenario, you're 2 days from town without a horse.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top
best
of
case
it,
scenario.
there's the woods are scary as shit.
Always.
They're just scary. And then, as an audience, we know for sure that all their little folklore, like silly, like, oh, there's a witch in that woods. There's a fucking witch in those woods.
Oh, we seen that witch good, yeah.
With her naked body covered in baby blood.
Ugh.
And baby brains and baby bones.
Baby everything, yeah.
Baby all things.
Liquid baby.
And she's nasty.
I love, probably my favorite part of this movie.
Well, I'll interject just for a moment to say, like, I actually think this movie is a pretty scary movie. I don't think it's scary like where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to sleep tonight. But in the moment, I'm like, yeah, this is all fucking scary. Like, if I was in this situation, this would be very scary.
Yeah.
This is a very scary movie.
If I was in this situation with what I know now, I'd probably be like...
Bring out the book. Let me sign it. Black Phillip.
I mean, before that, probably.
Oh,
If you
okay.
just took 2021, 21st century man Nick Johnson and dropped him into this situation, I'd be like, listen, there ain't no witches. And I know you're going to call me a witch for this. There ain't no God. So there ain't no witch out here. And then I'd be wrong because there'd be a witch. I'd be fucked too. Actor's name is Harvey Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw.
Plays Caleb,
Caleb.
the brother,
The brother.
the older one.
Older one.
Younger than Thompson,
Yes.
older than the twins. That kid
Yes.
fucking can act.
Yeah.
He,
I'd agree with that.
like, the kids are speaking this, like, old English, and they're doing okay.
Well, yeah, you can't expect much from a kid under, say, 10.
Yeah, and that kid, probably, like, what, 9, 8?
Yeah.
But he's speaking this old-ass English,
Yeah.
and he's just nailing it.
And
it doesn't feel like he's just reading or
Yeah.
like just trying to say this in this accent. This kid is acting, and I think he's great. I think he might be the best part of this movie, like especially when he spoilers dies.
All sweaty and stuff. And she's like,
just
oh,
like-
my lord, bring me to your bosom so I can drink it. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
You.
I think
Oh.
he's great.
Yeah.
I love when he's out in the forest by himself and he's lost.
What does he throw up with the bloody thing?
It's an apple.
It's an apple. Oh, that's right.
Because he said,
Bingo.
"Mom, just went out here to get you some apples." but
Yeah,
we
because
didn't
he
find them."
lied.
Yeah.
So it's kind of poetic injustice.
Yeah. And then I love that he goes out to the woods and he's alone and he sees the young witch. She's got this tight shirt on and he's like, it has been
I've been thinking about them too.
it has been established that I am horny for some booby.
Yeah.
And she gets him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
And there's something about the father's, just the cut of his voice's jib,
his voice is
like rich mahogany.
it's like a bunch of gems stuck into a blending machine.
Yeah.
A blending machine? A blender.
Yeah. Are you a fan or not a fan?
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
I like the dad. His voice is very,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. He also looks a bit like the Lord.
Our Savior
Jesus Christ, yes.
Yeah. He does. He really does look like Jesus.
He does look like the Lord. Yeshua.
Um,
The mother looks
Yeah.
just like Ernest Thesiger.
she really does.
And she acts the fuck out of this movie.
She really does.
Thomason acts the fuck out of this movie. I mean, where's the weak link? Where's the weak link in this movie?
The kids.
Yeah.
The twins, yeah.
Yeah, but their little song is so creepy. Black
Yeah.
Phillip, Black Phillip.
And
That's
also,
spooky.
it's spooky that the little girl looks like she's 30 years old.
Yeah.
She's a child.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what the boy looked like. He doesn't play a big part in this.
No, he's just there. He's just there.
No, the daughter's there to be like, I'm a witch, blah. And then Thompson goes, no, I'm a fucking witch.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap it up. Just tell me a little bit. How'd you like the little reveal at the end that it was actually the ram? Like, how did that hit you? Because I can't remember. It's been so long since I saw it for the first time. But I remember the whole time I was watching it with you, I kept thinking like, I can't wait till it's Black Phillip.
Yeah,
Not that it's like a crazy twist, like
Yeah.
Give whatever the fuck happens to the usual suspect. So like, where they like,
when she tells her dad that it's Black Phillip,
yeah,
I was like, oh fuck, it might be Black Phillip.
Uh-huh.
And then they're all stuck in the shed, and the witch shows up and starts eating the other goat.
yeah, I forgot about that. So gnarly.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's not Black Phillip. It's this big old witch. And then it's Black Phillip. When Black Phillip starts talking, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, here we
Wouldst
go.
thou like to live a life of butter?
It's so good. I love it.
So good. Yeah.
I don't love that you see the actual devil walk behind her and like rub her shoulders.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a little whack.
That part's a little whack.
Yeah.
But the rest of it's great. I love that it is actually Black Phillip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I just love that she just becomes a witch at the end. She's like, fuck it. She takes a nap at the kitchen table for seemingly 12 hours and then wakes up and goes, I'd like to live deliciously. Yeah, let's go.
So, again, I think I'd previously established that my grading scale was in my opinion, how well do I think that this movie actualized what its intended goal was? And that's where I'm having a bit of a time deciding between an A+ and an A, but I think I'll have to settle with giving it an A. I really like this movie. Is it like, Magnolia level where like for some reason I also identify with it? No, but as a piece of, it's a movie. That's a really good movie.
Yeah. I think it's pretty darn good. I'd give it a B+, A-.
Okay.
I enjoyed it a lot. I don't like it as much as I like The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
But
I like them as much as I like each other, but for different reasons.
You know what?
For much different reasons.
I'm going to give this a solid A.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying at the beginning,
Yeah.
can't do old-timey.
Yeah.
I just can't. And this movie made me do old-timey.
Yeah.
I think that's an accomplishment.
Impressive.
I'm going to give it an A. So.
Madam Web is a bit like a witch, and we watched the Spider-Man 3. No subtitle.
No subtitles. Understood what everyone was saying. I did a good amount of research. Can't tell you why Madam Web interacts with Spider-Man.
Is she in the comics, or was that entirely a creation for that cartoon I watched when I was a kid?
She was in the comics in the 80s, I believe.
Okay.
She fits in the thing or whatever in the show. She comes and she tells Spider-Man some future
Oracle-like stuff, yeah.
But why she does that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That cartoon was wild. Do you think it holds up?
That theme song does. Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Radioactive Spider-Man. He's not
Yeah.
radioactive.
The spider was. But he is not, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Spider-Man 3, just context out of the way, because we all have a shared context with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that this is the weakest link. Goodbye.
Oh, but it never fails, so it makes me want to wag my tail. Mail!
All right, less ASMR this time. And more just getting this fucker open. Oh, cool. The left side was a little loose. A little bit easier to open than the other one. This one feels like it's a... Oh, it's just one page. Okay, it felt like it might be more.
No.
I look like I'm... I feel like I'm looking at like a file from the Bay of Pigs released by the CIA. There's a lot of redacted sections, is the joke. Anyways.
Whoever's writing these is from the X-Files. Sorry, go on.
Okay. Here we go. This thing's like cigarettes. That makes sense. After an indiscernible amount of time since the events of the first film, Peter Parker is back and better than ever. Top of his class, dating the girl of his dreams, and beloved by everyone as Spider-Man. Our boy Pete is killing it. Hey, remember in the last movie where there was that underlying pressure and tension of Peter not being able to balance his personal life with his insurmountable responsibility of being a Spider-Man? Well, all that stuff's gone. Why? Who cares? It's Spider-Man, baby. When a black alien goo that amplifies your insecurities and worst traits attracts itself to your main character, it's best for them to have zero problems before that happens. Sam Raimi directs this one again, back at it, and apparently Sony made him shove in like 20 more plot lines into this fucking thing, and he was not happy about it. So this thing is a mess. Directed by a team of people who could not care less about it. Peter Parker, I almost said Jackson, is even more of a skin-crawling creep in this one who doesn't give a shit about anyone other than himself, and Mary Jane puts his ass in the dirt for it, so that's fun to watch at least. In all fairness, the first 45 minutes of this movie ain't too bad. Thomas C. Howell is fun as the Sandman, and Bruce Campbell is always a welcome surprise. There are 3 separate song and dance numbers in Spider-Man movie, 4 out of 10. Yeah, so in the beginning, you're right. 45 minutes, pretty all right. I will say the goo falling from the sky, for better or worse, reminds me a lot of the Blob.
Let me try something real quick.
Sure, go ahead. Are you going to try to read it?
Yeah.
Should I read it slow?
No, I was thinking maybe we go back and forth with these.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe I'm not that good at reading.
Okay.
After an indiscernible amount of time since the events of the first film, Peter Parker is back and better than ever. Top of his class, dating the girl of his dreams, and beloved by everyone as Spider-Man. Our boy Pete is killing it. Hey, remember the last movie where there's an underlying... Yeah, I'm not good at this.
Anyways, so yeah, it feels like the Blob, and the Blob, the like cool kid,
Yeah.
is like out there hanging out.
I was
and
saying
shit
it
falls.
while we were watching it. If
Yeah.
Sam Raimi cared about the Venom stuff at all,
Yeah.
I'm sure he could have done something pretty cool with all the
Very
Venom
cool with
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
Because I will say that 45 minutes lays out what I think is a great. He's already been infected by the symbiote kind of storyline.
Yeah.
Where he's like full of himself and shit like that, and he's not paying attention to Mary Jane and whatnot, and he has all these negative traits that seem to be amplified. Which, don't get me wrong, in a lot of ways, fame and success are a bit like the symbiote.
Tell me about it.
So, anyways, I just feel like it would have worked well there. I feel like the symbiote should have been all up in his biz way earlier, and it would have made the character defects more interesting and tense from a storytelling perspective. In my opinion.
Like if he was just feeling pretty good about being Spider-Man and then got the suit and was
Yeah.
doing all those legitimately bad things to his girlfriend,
Yeah.
that would make sense. But
Yeah.
instead, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Gets the suit
Because he is a piece of shit.
because he is a piece
is
of
the
shit.
thing.
That's just who he is.
And then he gets the suit, and Sam Raimi decides that, like, yeah, the symbiote would make him snap his fingers and put his bangs in his face and
Yeah.
say, "What's up?" to baby to women he doesn't know.
He gives a waitress $5 and says, "Find us some shade.
Yeah,
Thanks, hot legs."
yeah. Genuinely, actually making an ass of Sony's insistent that he does the symbiote thing is what I feel like.
Yeah,
all
it's
of that comes down
definitely a
to.
lot of it feels like him being like, "I'm gonna make this as dumb as fucking
Yeah.
possible." And also, I hear it was kind of tough to work with to work with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's a huge piece of shit.
Yes, I have heard this.
He
Yeah.
was part of the Pussy Patrol with Leonardo DiCaprio and probably some other actors. That's what they called themselves, I think.
Well, that's a big yikes for Leo. I always liked Leo. I felt like I would like Leo.
No, Leo
Leo's a bad
DiCaprio,
man?
50-year-old Leo DiCaprio has a knack for having 21-year-old girlfriends. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, a lot of this feels like Sam Raimi looking at Tobey Maguire and going, "I want to put some dirt in your eye." It's probably my favorite line of this movie.
Yeah.
He walks by a newspaper that says "Spider-Man caught in the act, stealing money," and then it says "Photo by Eddie Brock," and out loud to himself, Peter Parker goes,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye."
Also thinking of things as I noticed them, Hobgoblin looks like dog shit. They did a travesty
yeah.
to him.
What'd you say he looked like? How'd you describe
He
him?
looked like fucking. At first, I thought Hawkeye, but then I was like, "No, this bitch is dressed like the movie adaptation of Snake Eyes."
Yes, he looks like
He
Snake
looks like
Eyes
Snake Eyes on a snowboard.
mixed with a PlayStation 2 demo disc. He's just
He looks like the
awful.
original Xbox come to life.
He does. That's the best comparison.
Fucking just dog shit. And they gave him a fucking sword.
Honestly,
Like, it seems like they intentionally were like, because from what my dad said, like, I was talking to him about the Spider-Man, and he was like, people were dogging on that Green Goblin suit when it first came out. And so to me, the Hobgoblin thing seems like them being like, we got to make it cool so they don't make fun of it again. And they made it really lame, in my opinion. The main reason why I think he was citing his sources in terms of people not liking the glider suit was because there was that test footage that leaked beforehand on the internet of them doing a more
like,
traditional Goblin
animatronic
thing.
one. That one does look cool.
It was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
But anyways, the glider that they put Willem Dafoe in the suit that they put him in looks way better than the shit they put James Franco in.
Yeah, I put him on a fucking snowboard. Yeah.
Garbage.
With a little TV on it so we
Yeah.
can watch Bruce Almighty or whatever.
So I also like in all of these films, I'm not that bothered by the fact that some of this stuff is like leaps in logic and like kind of silly. Like it all kind of comes across as like 1960s Marvel comic book. Like for example, our bad guy hitting his head really hard on a metal pipe and then getting amnesia. I like it. I'm not upset about it.
Hey,
it's
if
fine.
I'm being honest, this is the most I've liked Harry Osborn and James Franco in any of these movies.
Yes,
I
easy.
love that he is a completely different person in all these movies.
Yeah.
Number one, he's just this schlub that can't stay in a private school to save his life.
Yeah.
Number two, he's this mover and this shaker.
Yeah,
who's
yeah. It's
running
like
Oscorp
a
and-
greased up hair and
Yeah,
sunglasses on inside, and he's like, "That's why I love you, baby. You're gonna make me money."
Exactly. And in this one, a thespian.
Yeah, you like paints and shit.
He paints. He
You
writes
wrote it right a play.
Writes a play
Yeah.
for Mary Jane. Yeah.
Yeah. It almost seems like a subtle way that like the people, I assume it wasn't all written by one guy, but whoever came together to write these were like, it'd be pretty funny if in every movie we had made
I just
Harry a
assume
little different.
this one movie alone was written by more
7
people
people.
than wrote the other two movies
Yeah.
combined. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so Harry, like I said, I like that storyline. I think that he acts a little bit childish. I like him slowly finding out, and then like a chessman, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna use everybody thinks I'm ignorant to my advantage."
Does he?
In a sense, right? Like he plays coy in the beginning, right? He's like, "Oh, I've got all the pieces together, and now I'm gonna." Because he doesn't come right out and say, "Oh, hey, Peter, I got my memory back." He instead starts doing this thing where he's like, "I'm going to take Mary Jane from him," and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
He goes, yeah, he's a dumb idiot.
Yeah.
Him and Mary Jane dance to do the twist while making an omelet.
Which looks like a commercial.
They kiss.
Yeah.
By the way, they both have great chemistry.
Yes.
And then they kiss, and they both go, "Ooh, that was a mistake," and she leaves.
And then he talks to his papa a little bit.
And then he's just walking around and hears a voice in his head. And Willem Dafoe comes back and goes, "Ma, I was right about her and Peter." And he's like, "Dad, what's happening?" And he goes, "Try to remember, we're both the Green Goblin." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, we're the Green Goblin." And then they cut to just a shot of him so they don't have to pay Willem Dafoe for saying it. And they use the line from the first movie where they go, "If you want to attack him, attack his heart." And he goes, "Cool,
Yeah.
I'll do exactly what happened in the first movie and the second movie, and I'll attack Mary Jane."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, now I remember I'm the Green Goblin." And then he goes, "Break up with Spider-Man, or I'll kill him and you."
Yeah.
Which, if I were Mary Jane, I would meet Peter Parker on that bridge and go, "Hey, don't turn around. But like 20 feet behind you, Harry's there. And he's the Green Goblin too."
Yeah, because she knows he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know you're Spider-Man, and you can take this fucking guy.
Yeah.
But instead, she dumps him, and then literally the next scene, Harry goes, "I gotta tell you, Pete, I'm the other guy." And he's like, Peter goes, and gets up and leaves.
Yeah, but he's so slimy. I like him as a villain. Like when he looks back and smiles at him.
Yeah,
He's
no,
in
I
the
love,
cafe.
I
Ooh.
love. Peter leaves, and the waitress goes, "Would you like a refill?" And he goes, "Oh, I'd love one." And she fills up his coffee, and she goes, "How's the pie?" And he goes, "So
good." Hate it. Oh, skin crawls.
And then he winks, and yeah, that's great. And then he's just gone.
Does Peter do anything or say anything overtly, awfully, like creepy in this movie? Not as a symbiote, just as a normal man.
I don't think so. Everything he says is pretty mundane.
But
it's the situations he's saying them in.
And also just something about his essence. His essence is keep away.
It's that Tobey Maguire mouth. I just hate him. Yeah. All throughout this movie, he's just killing it as Spider-Man, and poor Mary Jane just can't catch a break. Got the job of her dreams, gets fired.
I like the tension there.
Upset about it. For some reason, doesn't tell Peter, which I understand.
Her feelings are valid.
Her feelings are valid, yes. I'm not saying it's great or well done, but compared to the other two movies, it's nice to see her have just the smallest bit of agency in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Also, just something to do other than dating people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Maybe, my favorite scene in this movie is when they're having dinner together.
Uh-huh.
And they're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, you don't know how I feel." He goes, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel.
Yes.
I'm Spider-Man. This happens to me, and when I'm doing this, he's just going on and on and on." And then Gwen Stacy shows up.
Yeah.
After they have their kiss on stage, because he gets the key to the city, upside down kisses Gwen Stacy.
Easily, just him and MJ are the only two people in the world who have ever done that. And then he decides to do it with another girl. And not just another girl, but a lab partner he's never told Mary Jane about.
Yeah. And she comes up and she's like, "Oh, hey." And she's like, "Oh, hey." And Peter's like, "Gwen, this is Mary Jane Watson." And I love that she leaves and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, "What? She's just a girl." And he goes, "No." He's clearly into this girl. Like, when she walks away from the table, he's just smiling ear to ear at her.
Yeah.
Oh, just the scummiest piece of shit.
And then on top of it, you got a little bit of comedy mixed in.
With Bruce Campbell in the background.
So it really is. This
Love
is the
it.
workhorse of the movie. This scene is doing a lot of
Absolutely.
work. Again, these first 45 minutes feel like a good movie. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly it just becomes bad.
Like, I even like when James Franco shows up in his bad suit and they fight and Spider-Man's not in his suit and he's trying to catch the ring.
Yeah. Good stuff. It's
Action
fine.
scene wise,
Yeah.
the best we've seen out of any of these movies.
Also the best of this movie. Holy shit, the rest of it is garbage.
Yeah. That's what I will give this movie, is they really figure out how to do like action scenes by this point. Because back to Spider-Man 1, there's like zero.
Yeah.
He does some wire work backflips sometimes, but that's it.
I also like the Sandman.
Yes,
I
was
do
just gonna
like
say.
the retcon with him having killed Ben too much, I don't think.
That sucks. I mean, what that probably is throughout the history of Spider-Man, the best Spider-Man villains have some attachment to Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Sandman has never.
Yeah.
Sandman shows up and fucks up a power plant to get the shit rolling, so the first few issues that you buy have some cool action scenes.
Yeah.
So in this, I guess that makes sense that they did that. But I like C. Thomas Howell. I think he rips.
But I think just with the station he was relegated to in this film, that he could have just served that purpose.
yeah.
He didn't need to be also tied to it. I feel like that muddies the waters because you already got enough going on with like Harry, and if you're also going to do the symbiote, it's just one of those things where you can let someone,
Yeah, apparently
you know.
this movie was supposed to be just a Sandman movie. That's
Yeah.
what Sam Raimi wanted. And if it was just Sandman and he killed Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
I think that would have worked just fine.
Yeah.
But
A little too much going on.
way too much going on.
Yeah. So he's cool, and he looks cool when he turns into Mr. Sandman, and he also looks cool when he gets water dyed.
He, I'd like to say he's sympathetic
Yeah.
and understand him, but also at the same time, no, I don't.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, my daughter's sick. Gotta get money for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, robbing banks and killing people is not great, but C. Thomas Howell kills it, so I
Yeah.
like this guy. I feel him.
And then the symbiote shit just kind of happens out of nowhere. For some reason, like 45 minutes of the movie, they're like, oh, yeah, right. Also, the symbiote has to bind with Peter. And then
Oh.
it just gets really bad for a while.
It's really out of nowhere. It
Yeah.
falls out of the sky, attaches itself to his moped.
Hangs out in his apartment for a month.
Yeah,
And,
And
then
then-
decides to get a hold of him?
I guess.
Kind of.
Oh, we're missing a scene I really like before this.
Oh, sure.
It is 2:15 a.m.
Oh, yeah, when they have the
And-
late night chat.
95-year-old Aunt May gets a knock at her door, and she goes, it's 2:15 in the morning. There's no way this could be good. She
Yeah.
opens the door, and it's her nephew, Peter.
Yeah.
She goes, Peter, what is it? He goes, it's MJ, Aunt May. And Aunt May and her old brain must go, he's waking me up at 2:15 in the morning. Mary Jane has to be dead. And he goes, I'm going to ask her to marry me. And she's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
And this really lovely conversation where she gives him some really fucking good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, me and your Uncle Ben, we're going to get married? And then I decided, no, I'd like to marry you, but me and you are not in a place where we can be married. Our lives are not in a place where we can be married.
Yeah.
And she is subtly telling him, hey, Peter, you drive a moped.
Yes.
They get paid $30 a day to sell pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You are not in a place to be anybody's husband.
Which would be great added on top of like if this movie dealt with the work-life balance stuff
Which
and like
doesn't.
and if he had actually heard that advice from what she
Mm-hmm.
was saying, and there was that kind of dramatic maybe tension, like by the end of the movie there could be some way in which you feel like they've both taken a step towards being more stable or something, and
Yeah.
you feel like the question's about to get popped, or maybe even end the movie with him popping the question or something. But again, I don't think that happens. Does he? How does this movie end? They have that big fight, and then what? What's the resolution?
The resolution is Mary Jane is singing at her club.
Oh, and he's between the two men.
No.
Yeah,
He comes in.
Isn't he sitting between the two men?
No, that's the beginning. He's
Oh,
at the
okay,
play.
okay.
He
Yeah.
comes to the club she's working out, and she goes, I'm done with love. Because that's how she sings.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and she's singing, and she stops and looks at him, and he goes, and puts a hand out, again, saying the same thing he's been saying this whole movie. Fuck what you got going on. How I feel and how I feel about you is more important.
Yes.
She
Very
grabs
Big
his
Bang
hand.
Theory.
Yeah, she grabs his
Masculine
hand,
nerd.
just stops singing, no one seems to care, and they dance a little bit, and then the credits roll.
So, anyways, then it gets really bad with the symbiote stuff, and then the Eddie Brock. I actually like
Eric
for what it
Foreman?
is, Eric Foreman. I know people had a lot of gripes at the time because like Eddie Brock's supposed to be a big dumb jock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, whatever. I don't know enough about the comics. I also don't understand. You know, big dumb jock also being like a photographer seems a little like against archetype. But whatever. For what I know of this movie and Eddie Brock, I was not upset necessarily, and I think I like his like swarmy, whatever you call it, little weaselly kind of like shit mouth. You brought up you would like to see him as Peter Parker. That would be good, and I think that would be good.
Yeah.
But I like the tension between these two. I like how he's kind of actually a bit of a dumb idiot who's like, yep, I know what I want and I'm gonna get it. And like all he does is really talk fast. He's not really good at anything. He's not actually even
Good at
smart
Photoshop.
or he's good at Photoshop.
Great at Photoshop.
But yeah, just kind of a dumb guy who thinks like I'm gonna talk fast and shoot straight and I'm gonna make it in this city. And he doesn't. And he tries to do so by stepping on people and speaking poorly about people. I mean, when he talks to Spider-Man, he's like, oh yeah, that Peter Parker, what a fucking piece of shit. And then he becomes Venom way too late. You get no time with Venom. In fact, it feels like almost like they shot the movie and the movie just instantly went to that big third act fight scene. And they were like, oh, fuck, we got to connect that with like Venom and Sandman even talking once. So they shot this like 10-second scene where you can see the shadow of Venom swing into frame, the shadow of Sandman punch him with a big hammer hand, and then Venom go, Sandman, I was looking for you. We both want to kill the spider. And at first the Sandman thinks it's Spider-Man, which is actually neat and could be interesting, but then he's like, wait a second, you're not Spider-Man, once he sees his big tooth mouth. And then it like transitions to this third act, which is
They do that twice.
Yeah.
They do it in the third act. The news reporter goes, and a masked figure that was thought to be black-suited Spider-Man, but that's not him. Don't worry about it. It's like, that's something that interesting that could have happened that they immediately just brush under the rug.
If they didn't spend, again, like so much time with all these dance numbers and, again, whatever, Sam Raimi, that's fine. Do your thing. But I think it was not for the betterment of the movie that he kind of threw a tantrum, in my opinion, and seemingly made this look stupid. But I could be pushing that on Sam Raimi. Maybe that was just in the script. That's how it was this dumb. Maybe it was this bad of a script. But it feels a lot like someone was actually trying to make something seem dumb.
Yeah. Two real big problems with this movie.
Yeah.
Having Venom in it. Talked about this, I think, when we watched the first Spider-Man. This is very much so early 60s Spider-Man. All these movies are.
Yeah.
Which I'm personally not a huge fan of.
Okay.
But for what these are, and these movies being about that, I think they're fine.
Yeah.
You know what really, 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 really doesn't work with early 60s Spider-Man?
Villain created in what I think was the 80s?
The most 90s character that has ever
90s.
existed,
Yeah.
Venom. I mean,
90s,
he might have been made in the 80s, but he is undeniably
90s.
the most 90s character ever created.
Oh, yeah.
And that being said, you know what Spider-Man character I really, really, really don't like?
Huh.
Venom. I think he's dog shit.
Yeah.
I think he just sucks. I think
I
he's
don't
just
really-
a big black sharp tooth mouth Spider-Man
Monster.
created in the 90s, and that's all he is, and that's all he'll ever be.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, I don't mind Topher Grace that much, because I really don't know who Venom is or what he does. I know that he looks kind of cool from, like, a 90s comic perspective.
That's it. That's all that Venom really is. Venom looks cool, and he's just there to look cool, pretty much. Also, when we see Venom in this movie and he talks, he has Topher Grace's voice.
That's not good. Isn't he supposed to have, like a fucked up demon-y voice when he's talking with the suit on?
He's a big black
demon
liquid monster, yeah.
Yeah. I do like that character from Batman Beyond, Ink or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever that girl is.
Ink.
She's cool as hell.
She is.
Love that. And I love that she's always trying to, like, choke people by, like, shooting all her ink up in their mouth.
Yeah, that rips.
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh,
but anyways, you know what I like more than the Venom stuff is actually Spider-Man having to deal with being infected by the symbiote. I like that way more than I like Venom as a separate entity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, all that stuff aside, then there's this, like, it feels like it's a third of the fucking movie. I know it's not, but this whole end scene where, like, Spider-Man is asked Hobgoblin to be his friend again.
We have to back up.
Why?
We have to talk about arguably the most buck wild scene of this movie.
Okay.
Mary Jane breaks off with Peter, and he goes, but, and shows her a ring, and he goes, but, and she walks away.
Yeah.
And Harry Osborn's like, everything's going to plan.
Yeah.
And so Peter puts on the black suit, brushes his hair in front of his face, does that dumb dance outside, which everybody talks about.
Yeah.
Then he goes to a jazz club with Gwen Stacy.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
And she goes, geez, I hope we can get a table at this jazz club.
Yeah.
And he gives the lady $5, and they're sitting there, and she's like, oh, is that your ex? Should we leave? And he goes,
Which is reasonable.
yeah.
They should. She's a very smart person.
And he goes, no, It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Red
And they're sitting there
flag.
for a second. Mary Jane starts singing, and he goes, I'll be back. And it cuts to Mary Jane singing, and you just hear on the piano, and it cuts over to him, and
God.
he's playing the piano. Which, I guess Peter Parker, also a thespian in this movie, knows how to play the piano. And then he just starts jazz dancing and, like, spinning on chairs and stuff like that. And there's a close-up of his mouth at one point where there's a beat in the song, and he goes, dig on this.
You know what? I do like this scene.
No.
In The Mask.
Yes, absolutely. This is straight out of The Mask.
Yeah.
And he goes over to Gwen Stacy, he starts spinning her around, or they're dancing or whatever, and then he dips her in front of the stage and looks up at Mary Jane. And to her credit, I really do like this moment where Gwen Stacy goes, well, no, I don't like this. She goes, this was all for her? You should have realized that 25 minutes ago when you're watching this restaurant.
But I like when she turns to MJ and apologizes and then leaves immediately, because that's exactly what she should do.
Yes, absolutely.
Because she has self-respect, and that's good.
Everything this movie does, biggest sin, is how they just fucking doo-doo all over Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy, one of my favorite Spider-Man characters. I'm a Gwen Stacy man myself. In my heart of hearts, I believe Peter Parker's one true love is Gwen Stacy, and then she unfortunately gets murdered, and he settles for Mary Jane.
And I'll say that the symbiote is pretty much exactly the mask.
It really is.
It's really just the mask.
Yeah.
Which came first?
The mask.
Doesn't matter.
Because it's the mask.
Yeah.
Anyway, very long fight scene at the end that is
Boring as all fuck, and the Sandman's there, even though he hasn't been in the movie since he was technically murdered by Spider-Man, it feels like, other than that reshoot scene that we mentioned earlier. And Venom wants to kill Spider-Man because he knows that it's Peter Parker, I think, right?
Yeah.
And
he goes, you made me lose my girl. Now I'm going to make you lose yours. That's not what he did. He didn't make you lose your girl. You lost your job because of him. You lost your girl because he had coffee once.
Yeah, that was weird. That was definitely weird for him to say, you made me lose my girl. Because he lost her before he even got that job, didn't he?
Hey, you know what else was weird for him to say?
Huh?
When he picks up Mary Jane and goes, uh-oh, my spider sense is tingling, if you know what I mean.
Ugh.
Yeah, ugh.
Also, some of the J. Jonah humor is not as good as I feel like it was in the first two.
It's bad.
I don't like the big buzzer thing. There really wouldn't be a buzzer that loud, I don't think. And then the it's hip, it's now, it's wow is okay. It falls a little flat. And that's all he really gets besides, buying that camera from the little kid and then like the film's extra thing. That one's also not that great.
You know what I do like about the it's hip, it's now, it's wow scene?
Huh.
Is it's for sure Sam Raimi going, fuck this movie. I'm just going to put a 7-minute scene of my brother just goofing around in it.
He also voices a little deadite named Sam in the Evil Dead video game Resurgence that I played on the PlayStation 2.
Nice.
Ivan Raimi.
Different brother. Ivan Raimi wrote this movie with Sam Raimi.
My bad.
Ted Raimi is the guy in this movie.
Ted Raimi, I think, is the one that voices Sam.
Sam, Ted, and Ryden.
So yeah, I mean, you know,
Hobgoblin dies, and then the movie's over.
yeah. I also don't mind him dying at the end. That's actually kind of nice. Like I like how why is that funny?
I don't know, just him dying is nice.
Well, no, just like it is kind of cute. Like because MJ's like, oh my god, we got to get help, and he's like, no, just stay. And it's one of those moments, kind of like the Peter moment in the first one, where you're like, oh yeah, if I was dying like that, and I knew like we're on the top of the scaffolding, this lady can't give me help. And I just knew that I was probably going to die. Like, yeah, I would rather, like, if it was, like, Alicia or something, or, like, you or my dad or something, and I knew there was no way that they were actually going to come back with help, I would just go, no, just stay. Because what he's saying is, I don't want to die alone. I would rather you stay than I bleed out thinking you're coming back.
Yeah, but let's say you're dying, and me, Alicia, and your dad are there, but also Spider-Man is there.
Yeah, Spider-Man can save you.
He can get you help immediately.
Yeah. But anyways, I just think it works, like as you said a second ago, like it's these movies are all like clearly like 60s Spider-Man. I just think throughout all three of them there are multiple like plot holy moments like that where like this could easily be solved this way, but like it works to be a bit over the top and like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, so that works, and then it has that weird resolution that we just discussed a minute ago. And I don't know that I have anything else to say about this movie other than the first 45 minutes makes me wish there was a good Spider-Man 3 so badly. But in my opinion, you can basically watch the first 45-ish minutes and then turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turn it off. As soon as he gets a symbiote on him, this movie's over. It's done. It's wasting your time.
Yes, absolutely. I give this movie an F.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to give it a D just because I have a soft spot for the first bit, but let's call it a D-.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I got anything in that category. I'm going to give it a D-.
How about some table talk to finish this episode off?
Sure, what's up?
Why did we watch all these movies? Why did we decide to watch 3 and not stop at 2, Chris?
Oh, well, because I kind of have this idea that perhaps there's a new Spider-Man coming out, and like this could be a fun thing to do because those Spider-Man movies are coming out, and the timing is not great because I actually have not seen the second of the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. So perhaps this will actually get, it might be like 6 weeks of Spider-Man, perhaps, because we now have these 3 episodes, and perhaps we do the other 3, the Tom Holland ones,
Okay.
in preparation for this new one, and then we go see it in the theater.
But why not the Andrew Garfield ones?
Because it's crunched for time.
Yeah, but we could do...
We could do it another time. We have years to be doing these movies.
Yeah, but if this is our
about it.
plan to do all these Spider-Man ones together...
What happens when there's a 4th Tom Holland Spider-Man? I think they got 3 more in the books. Then we could do a nice special episode, and then a special episode where we watch the other 2.
Yeah, but fucking Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire aren't going to be in those other Spider-Man movies. They're going to be in this one.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how we're going to squeeze it in.
I could just tell it to you.
What happens?
Yeah.
Right now?
Oh yeah. Okay, I can do it right now.
Okay.
Okay. So The Amazing Spider-Man 1. We open Little Peter Parker. He's playing hide and seek. And everyone's like, "Kid, get back here." And Rhino goes, "Oh, Spider-Man, are you going to stop me?" And the kid just makes a big stance. And like, I think you hear everybody gasp. You just hear a voice behind the kid, and it's Spider-Man going, "Hey, Spider-Man." And the kid turns around and sees Spider-Man. He goes, "You let me handle this one?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Go check on your mom. I got this, all right?" Oh, it's so good. And then he goes and he swings a thing at fucking sewer manhole at Rhino. And then it ends, and then there's credits. And I missed out on a lot of stuff, but I talked for 15 minutes about those movies.
Hey, tell you what, I guess I'll watch them.
I appreciate you letting me doing that.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm gonna cut all that out.
You think so?
And if I had to wrap it up right here, I'd say the first Spider-Man's really good because Andrew Garfield's great, Emma Stone is great, they have great chemistry. Sally Fields and Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben and Aunt May, amazing. After he dies, there's a scene that's really good.
Do you really want to cut all 50 minutes of you telling beat for beat what happened to those movies?
Oh, absolutely, because I'm just rambling.
It's a hilarious bit, though.
Yeah, I think it'd be even more hilarious if I cut it out. But anyway, there's a really touching scene. I'm not even going to talk about that scene. They're all great in it. Number 2 is the best. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. And if I have a podcast about movies and I don't get to talk about how The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie, then what's the point, Chris?
All right, we'll watch them too.
We don't have to.
No, we'll watch them too. It's just I don't think that our review of the newest Spider-Man is going to come out anywhere near the actual release date at this point. Poor planning. Didn't really plan, it just kind of happened. Let's wave a big old web, and that's that, Mattress Man.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,